Welcome back to my channel. Good morning, everyone. So today I'm going to continue on with my story from a little bit where I left off, but I'm going to add a little bit more to it. I know I got some new subscribers and I really appreciate you all for coming by, subscribing and liking, commenting, and sharing some of your story that relates to mine. It's very validating and I really appreciate it. So I'm talking about how being the scapegoat in my family, I feel resulted in me being alienated from my children and ultimately ending up in narcissistic relationships or relationships with narcissistic men that turned out to be abusive. And I'm kind of going backwards and talking about all those dynamics, hoping in the hopes to help somebody else who may be navigating the same situation. So I think that the relationship with my father is what shaped how I showed up in the future with men and my relationships. My father was somebody who treated me like his girlfriend, really, but without the physical experience of that. Emotionally, he treated me as though I was a girlfriend. He expected me to have this unwavering loyalty to him. He told me all of his secrets, things that I should not have known and burdens I should not have had to carry. So there are things that you're hearing me talk about in these videos, things about his life that I've never shared before. He expected confidence from me and he got that from me up until just now, recently, that I've been disclosing this information, and it's not out of some sort of revenge or spite. It's just that it's a part of my story and I'm not obligated to keep and hold on to those secrets. I feel if he wanted those things to be kept sacred, then maybe he would have treated me in a different way, and it may be reciprocal is what I'll say. If he had kept my secrets or my personal information that was shared with him confidential, then I might feel obligated to do the same, but I don't at this point in my life feel that I need to keep anything secret or sacred. If it's a part of my story, I'm going to disclose it. So yes, and also another thing that he did that still I work on today, but I'm a lot better with it, is my physical appearance. My father policed my body 1,000%. Every time I saw him, it was a scan that he did. He would look me up and down. If I was talking, he'd interrupt me to say something about my physical appearance, to point something out. If I was getting a little bit bigger or fatter or putting on weight, he'd point that out. Oh my gosh, you're getting fatter. You're not gonna look good if you put on any weight. Or he would compare me to a girlfriend or a woman that he was with, that we had the same shape and how attractive that woman was. And so it just kind of blurs the lines between what's appropriate and what's not. And I knew deep down what he was saying and doing was not appropriate. But what do I do when something is uncomfortable and not appropriate? I usually laugh. So I would laugh these things off and accept it, because I mean, when you don't know better, you just kind of accept this as your reality. Another thing he would do is take credit for all the good things that I did in my life. So anything that I did, any accomplishment that I made, he would take credit for that. He'd say, "Oh, well, we are genetically connected, so if I had a good quality, like," so he would always say that I'm articulate, and he would attribute that skill or quality to him. Anything that was negative about me, so there's a part about me, I guess people like to say that I'm argumentative, or that I can be rude when you upset me. I'm not as diplomatic as I sound in these videos. And so when you see maybe that side of me come out, he'll attribute that to my mother. Oh, there's your mother. And so there was always this polar thing going on where, the good sides of me were him, the bad sides of me are my mom. And then, sorry, another part of this was the labels. Growing up, I was a liar, I was a thief, I was promiscuous, I was violent, I was criminalized. All of these labels were placed onto me, and those were a lot of those things. And quite the opposite was true, to be, if I'm frank. I was not a liar. Actually, the thing they hated about me the most was that I told the truth. So if I saw something going on that wasn't right, I would say it out loud, and they hated that about me. A thief, I don't, it's not even in me to want to steal from people. I'm a giver. That's who I am, and anybody who knows me knows that. What I've had to work on is not giving to people who don't deserve it, and yeah, that's it. But quite the opposite is true about the thieving part. My father, his wife, his children, they have all stolen from me. And then the criminal aspect of everything. I mean, absolutely not a criminal or violent. I will defend myself if I am, if somebody attacks me. I'm not afraid to defend myself, but never would provoke a fight, physical fight with anybody. Or that's just not my character. But it was always put on me that I was that kind of person, even though quite the opposite is true in those same environments. I was physically attacked on more than one occasion. Um, so I've had to take it, and so when people are continually place these labels on you, and it comes from everybody. Everybody comes in and they all kind of just say, yeah, you, this, that. You start to internalize it. So for a long time, I used to really believe these things about myself, even though it was absolutely not true and obviously not true. Um, so there's that part. So I'm not sure how long I'm going to stay in this space talking about all that negative stuff from my past with my father. I had to take a mental health break, just revisiting the stuff I already did, but I wanted to talk just a little bit more about it because I did have a lot of people share their experiences, and I just want you to know you're not alone. Those were some really weird and unimaginable spaces that we were navigating, and sorting it all out is really difficult. But I'm here to let you know that after you get past all of that stuff and you get to a place where you acknowledge that that is not who you are, those are not your problems, and you move out of that, life gets so much brighter. The part two, after you go no contact, you leave all of that space, you kind of clear your head space. The next part is navigating life, and not and trying to, like, it's like deprogramming yourself from that. So because you're in that mess, and then you go out into the real world, you start meeting people, friends, acquaintances, men, and then you're used to all that stuff. You have to now deprogram yourself. And then how do you do that? You have to have experiences with people. So you're gonna have an experience with somebody and fail, or that not and when I say fail, I hate that word, so I'm not gonna say fail. It's just not gonna work out, which is not a failure. It just didn't work out. It's actually a success, because the faster you recognize, okay, you know what, this is not my person, this is not the way I deserve to be treated, and you're able to exit that situation quickly, that is a success. And so those are that's the kind of space that I'm navigating now, is finding healthy people, recognizing patterns based on the old such family dynamics that I was in, and getting out of those things quickly. And so that's kind of what I want to focus on more, but I'm going to still talk about my story. Just kind of want to run past some of that real toxic stuff, but I mean, I'm willing to talk about it. So if anybody has any questions about anything that I did talk about, please leave it in the comments. I'm absolutely open to talking about it. If if anyone's interested in hearing more detailed account of something that I maybe brushed over before. All right, I'm gonna leave. I'm doing a show and tell. This photograph is me. and my children. From my oldest, which is right here, my youngest right above her, my second oldest child, so my second daughter, and then my only son. These, and then me in the middle. I had this picture made. I had someone paint it for me, and I used photographs that I had of my children, and they put them together and made me this photo. This picture has never come to fruition. So at 50 years old, I had my first daughter at 16. All my children have never been in the same room together to get to know each other. The family that I talk about in these videos, my father and my mother, alienated me from my children. The children that I had to break free from this toxic family, the children that I had to create my own family, to have people who loved me, who I didn't have to prove myself to, all those things, that the reasons why you want to have children, the reasons why reasons that my own parents didn't have when they wanted to have me. All my children were wanted. Every last one of the children you see in these photographs were wanted, and were intentionally alienated from me, and I'm gonna start talking about that in my videos to come, because that's what this is all about. At the end of the day, is I want my children to know the truth about who I am. I'm not the stereotype that they were led to believe that I am, and the irony of this all is that the people who have alienated me from my children, they weren't as excited about me having the children when I was having them. If it was up to them, they probably wouldn't even exist. So all my children were wanted, and loved, and are still loved to this day. So yeah, and then another fun fact is the shirt that I'm wearing today. The last time I saw my son was in 2016. I saw him after that, but very briefly, and it was under different circumstances. But the last time I saw my son and was able to touch him and hold him and look at him and without a negative thing involved was in 2016. My father facilitated a visit with them, and my son left this shirt there at his house. After that visit, I never heard from him again. He wouldn't answer the phone. He wouldn't speak to me. But I still have this shirt. I've been carrying this shirt around for years. And so it's the only little piece of him I have left. I have this bag here as well that has some things that I've been carrying around over the years. And I mean, it probably looks silly, but you know, these little baby books. I have these books. Let me see. The Berenstein Bears. See, I was a good mother. I used to read. I read to my children. Yeah, these are books that I have. I mean, over the years, it's been hard to keep everything, but I kept these because they've become parents now, and I always thought to myself, you know, what if they want to see how they're, you know, it'd be fun to see how their parents were writing and you know, what they were doing at a certain age. So I got these books. This is my son and his letters, and I got one other book here. I think this is my daughter, yeah, Jaquil. This is my daughter's books, and you know, these are just things that they may want to see one day. This is May 6th, 2003, a long time ago, but this is a year before they were taken out of my life. Yeah. Anyhow, I'll talk more about that in a future video. I appreciate everybody for listening and stopping by and supporting me. You can also support me and my channel by purchasing some of my crafts. As you know, if you've hung out long enough, you see that I make stuff like this, and everything I make that's available for sale, I post and list it in my Etsy shop, or you can contact me because I do take custom orders. and my craft is how I healed from all of this. It so it's a godsend, and I'm happy that I found my passion. Anyway, have a great day, and I will be back with more videos, more of my story. Take care. Have a great weekend.